A street child was found rummaging in the garden of a mansion. The owner of the house noticed a detail on her face that terrified him. He ran to talk to her, but what the child said brought him to tears. Hello, welcome, enjoy, subscribe, and activate notifications. The air was thick with tension as Enrique stood in the dimly lit hallway of his sprawling mansion, the shadows forming menacing shapes that danced along the walls. Suddenly, the tranquility of the night was shattered by blood-curdling screams, a desperate symphony of fear echoing from the outside. His heart raced, pounding against his ribcage like a drum calling him to action. He bolted towards the front, a door, the heavy wood feeling like a fortress against the chaos brewing outside. As he flung the door open, a chilling wind gusted past him, carrying with it the remnants of a struggle. His eyes widened as he caught a glimpse of a cloaked figure, disappearing into the night's embrace, a child wriggling helplessly in their grasp. "No, stop!" Enrique shouted, but his cries were swallowed by the night, leaving only silence in their wake. The haunting wail of a girl pierced the air, a sound so raw and filled with anguish that it seemed to etch itself into his very soul. Enrique staggered back, gripping the doorframe as if it were a lifeline, his breath hitching in his throat. The echo of that scream clawed at his consciousness, a chilling reminder of loss and helplessness that he had buried deep within. Suddenly, a powerful wave of nausea gripped him as memories flooded back. Of the night he lost his wife, the frantic moments steeped in desperation, and the helplessness of witnessing the unthinkable. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to banish the vision of that child from his mind, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that her fate was intertwined with his past. The scene faded away, the air still and heavy as he opened his eyes to the present. Back in the sanctuary of his garden, where vibrant flowers bloomed despite the weight of his sorrow, a sense of dissonance washed over him. The moonlight cast a silver sheen over the petals, illuminating the colors that seemed to mock his grief. Little did he know that a chance encounter with a street child, one who bore scars far deeper than the ones on her skin, awaited him just beyond the manicured hedges. Enrique wandered aimlessly through the echoing halls of his mansion, the silence amplifying the weight of his solitude. Each step he took resonated like a heartbeat in the vast, empty space, reminding him of the life that once flourished within these walls. The memories wrapped around him like a shroud, constricting his breath. Unable to bear the stillness, he turned toward the garden, a small sanctuary amidst the desolation. As he stepped outside, the cool evening air wrapped around him like a comforting embrace. The scent of blooming jasmine filled his lungs, delicate and sweet, an intoxicating reminder of renewal. The garden was alive with color, vibrant flowers, swaying gently in the breeze, contrasting sharply with the monochrome shadows of his mansion. Every blossom seemed to hum with life, urging him to let go of his grief, even if just for a moment. Yet, as Enrique knelt among the petals, he spotted a small figure darting through the vibrant landscape. It was a child, her fingers rummaging through the soil, unearthing forgotten treasures amongst the roots. As he drew closer, the sunlight caught her face, revealing a jagged scar running diagonally across her cheek. The sight struck him like a physical blow, dredging up memories of pain and loss he thought he had buried. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice hoarse, thick with concern. The girl looked up, startled, her wide, innocent eyes reflecting an ocean of sorrow. "I'm looking for flowers. To sell," she replied, her words soft as the summer breeze but heavy with an inexplicable weight. "People like pretty things, even if they're broken," her answer pierced through Enrique's heart, causing it to ache with a familiar understanding. In her fragility, he saw the remnants of his own shattered dreams. "What's your name?" he asked, kneeling beside her, wanting to bridge the chasm between their worlds. "Sophia," she whispered almost shyly. Enrique felt an intense pull towards her, as if their fates were inexplicably entwined. "Sophia, how did you get this scar?" "It was a long time ago," she murmured, her gaze drifting away as if fearful of the memories. "It hurt, but I'm used to pain." In that moment, Enrique felt a spark of resolve ignite within him. He couldn't ignore her suffering, not when it mirrored his own. "Let's get you some food, Sophia," he said gently, aware that this encounter could be the turning point in both their lives. Enrique led Sophia into the warmth of his kitchen, the aroma of freshly baked bread filling the air, evoking memories of childhood laughter and wholesome meals shared with family. As he placed a plate of food in front of her, the golden crust glistened under the soft glow of the overhead lights, a stark contrast to the dusty, cold streets where she had likely scavenged for scraps. Her eyes widened at the sight of the food, a mixture of hunger and disbelief flickering across her delicate features. "Eat, Sophia. You look like you haven't had a proper meal in a while," he urged gently, sitting across from her. The atmosphere crackled with an intensity that both frightened and excited him. As she hesitated, studying the plate as if it were a treasure, he offered a reassuring smile. "You're safe here, I promise." With that, she took her first bite, and a soft sigh of relief escaped her lips. "It's really good," she whispered, a hint of wonder lacing her voice. "What about your family? Where are they?" Enrique asked, carefully probing, hoping to connect with her on a deeper level. Sophia paused, her eyes casting downwards, the joy momentarily extinguished. "I don't have a family anymore," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "My mom, she tried to protect me, but one day she didn't come back. I waited, thinking she was just late." Her words came in soft, jagged breaths, like shards of glass spilling from an open wound. "I learned to survive without her. But it's so lonely." Enrique's heart ached at her vulnerability. Memories flooded back. His mother's warm embrace, the way she encouraged him to dream, and the cold, empty void left by her passing. "I lost my wife," he confessed, finding solace in sharing his pain. "It felt like a part of me shattered." Sophia lifted her gaze, her big eyes sparkling with understanding. "You know what it's like to hurt, then?" "More than I'd like to admit," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "But we can face our pain together." As they spoke, a bond began to form, fragile yet profound, drawing him further into her world. For the first time in years, Enrique felt the weight of his own grief lift, replaced by something resolute. A spark of hope ignited in both their hearts amidst the shadows. Their shared scars became less about despair and more about healing, a path forged in mutual understanding. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the garden, Enrique lingered at the threshold of his mansion, watching Sophia sift through the flowers. A wave of affection washed over him, intertwining with an undercurrent of fear that gripped his heart. To care for her was to risk his own emotional safety, a gamble he had spent years avoiding. The warmth of the day gradually gave way to the coolness of evening, mirroring the duality of his thoughts. "Can I really take this on?" he whispered to himself, grappling internally. Just as he felt a flicker of resolve, a familiar voice interrupted his quiet contemplation. "Enrique, are you out here?" It was Lucas, his loyal friend, rushing into the garden with an expression of concern etched across his face. "What are you doing? You can't get involved with that girl. It's dangerous." "Dangerous?" Enrique replied, the edge in his voice sharper than he intended. "She's a child, Lucas. She needs help." Lucas shook his head, the worry in his eyes deepening. "You don't understand. There are people out there, bad people who prey on kids like her. You think helping her will save her? This world? Isn't that simple?" But turning away isn't an option, Enrique countered, his pulse quickening. She reminds me of my own loss. I can't ignore that. Lucas ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. And what about your safety, Enrique? You've suffered enough. You need to think this through. This isn't just some charity project. You have your own demons to face. Murmurs of doubt echoed in Enrique's mind, but he remembered Sophia's eyes so filled with despair, yet shimmering with hope. I can't just leave her to fend for herself out there. We share something. Our pain binds us. Sensing his unwavering resolve, Lucas softened. Just promise me you'll be careful. Don't let your compassion cloud your judgment. Enrique nodded slowly, determination solidifying in his chest. How could he turn his back on someone who had endured so much? The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. But something deep within stirred, a flicker of courage ignited by the thought of Sophia's plight. The battle lines were drawn, not just in the world outside his gates, but within his very soul. As dusk settled, he realized that to save Sophia might also mean confronting his own darkness. This journey had begun. The next morning dawned with a silvery light filtering through the window, illuminating the kitchen where Enrique and Sophia shared breakfast. As they savored warm oatmeal and fresh fruit, Enrique watched her eat. The way she savored each bite spoke volumes, filling the empty spaces in his heart with warmth and purpose. "I'm going to take you to a safe place, Sophia," he said, carefully, his tone earnest. "There's an orphanage nearby where you can stay. They'll look after you." Her face crinkled with uncertainty, the glimmer of hope shadowed by apprehension. But what if they don't like me?" "They will," he assured, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You're special, Sophia. You deserve to be cared for. I want you to be safe." As they left the mansion, the world outside felt vibrant and alive, yet beneath that surface, an undercurrent of dread loomed in the air. Enrique tried to focus on the path ahead, but his phone buzzed incessantly in his pocket. Ignoring it at first, he realized it wouldn't stop, pulling it out to see several unread messages. His heart sank as he opened the latest text. An ominous warning. "Stay away from the girl. You don't know what you're getting into." The sender was unknown, but the threat was palpable and chilling, sending a shiver down his spine. "What's wrong?" Sophia asked, noticing the change in his demeanor. "Nothing, just some work stuff," he lied, forcing a smile to mask his discomfort. But with each step toward the shelter, the shadows loomed larger, wrapping around his thoughts like a vice. As the danger became increasingly real, Enrique wrestled with his resolve. The thought of abandoning Sophia gnawed at him, igniting the self-doubt and fears he thought he had overcome. "What if I can't protect her?" he pondered, grappling with the implications of putting both their lives on the line. He halted, his breath coming in shallow gasps. "Maybe I shouldn't do this," he murmured aloud, wrestling with the weight of his decision. "No!" Sophia exclaimed, her voice filled with urgency. "You promised to help me. Don't give up on me, please!" Her words cut through the fog of uncertainty, and in that moment, Enrique realized that this was about more than just safety. It was about redemption, about confronting the past that had haunted him for too long. With renewed determination, he met her gaze. "I won't abandon you, Sophia. We're in this together." As they resumed their journey, the path ahead still uncertain, a flicker of hope ignited within him, a testament to the strength found in unwavering support and love. The air in the mansion felt thick with impending doom as Enrique sat with Sophia in the living room, the shadows creeping in from outside, almost as if the house was aware of the danger approaching. The sound of a car engine revving outside sent chills down his spine, and a sense of foreboding clung to him like a heavy fog. A sudden knock shattered the tense silence, echoing through the grand hall like a war drum pounding in his chest. "Stay here," he instructed Sophia, his voice betraying the fear coiling within. As he moved toward the door, each step felt heavier, laden with the weight of uncertainty. When he opened the door, 3 men stood before him, their faces concealed by hoods, eyes cold like shards of ice. "We're here for the girl," one of them growled, stepping into the threshold as if his presence alone filled the room with menace. "She's safe here. You can't take her," Enrique responded, surprising even himself with the firmness of his voice. "Safe? You think you can protect her?" sneered the second man, crossing his arms. "You don't know what you're dealing with, old man. Give her to us, now." Enrique's heart raced as memories of his wife flooded his mind. The haunting echoes of that fateful night when he had been unable to protect her from the dangers lurking in the shadows. "I failed her," he thought bitterly, the guilt surging back like a tide. But now, as he looked at Sophia's fearful eyes peeking out from behind him, he realized he could not allow the past to define him any longer. "I will not let you take her," he declared, grounding himself in the moment. "I won't let another child suffer as I did." The third man stepped forward, a smirk creeping onto his face. "You really think you can stand against us? You have no idea who you're up against." But Enrique felt a fire ignite within. The pain he had buried now became his strength. "I don't care who you are. I will protect her. I lost someone I loved once. I won't lose her too." The room pulsed with tension, the air thick like the moments before a storm. In that instant, he transformed from a man haunted by his past into a warrior prepared to face whatever darkness lay ahead. "Leave now, or I will call the police," he warned, voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through his veins. As they hesitated, Enrique stepped forward, determined to shield Sophia from a fate he now knew he had the power to change. She had entered his life when he had least expected it, and now he understood that his redemption rested in her safety. The atmosphere crackled with tension as Enrique stood defiantly in front of the intruders, his heart pounding like a war drum. The 3 men exchanged glances, their expressions ranging from disbelief to barely contained rage. "You really think you can protect her?" the ringleader taunted, stepping closer, narrowing the physical distance that separated power from desperation. "I don't just think it, I know it," Enrique shot back, drawing on a deep well of courage he hadn't realized existed. He might have felt small against these men, but the determination in his voice trembled with the weight of his resolve. In his mind, images of Sophia's fearful eyes propelled him forward. "Stay behind me, Sophia," he ordered, never breaking eye contact with the men. She clutched his sleeve, her small body trembling, a reminder of just how fragile their situation truly was. Without warning, one of the men lunged at him, hands outstretched like claws. Enrique sidestepped, adrenaline surging through his veins as he tackled the man, the two crashing into a nearby armchair, sending it tumbling over. The impact sent a reverberation through Enrique's body, but he refused to relent. "You're putting yourself in danger," Sophia cried out, her voice rising in pitch. The sound sliced through the chaos, grounding him momentarily. "I have to do this," he shouted, grappling with the man as anger and fear collided in a storm of emotions. "I won't let you take her." Suddenly, he heard the distant wail of sirens approaching, a soft beacon of hope cutting through the tumult. "Help is on the way," he yelled, catching a glimpse of another figure from the corner of his eye. It was the third intruder, and as he stepped into view, recognition flooded through him like ice water. "Marcus," he breathed, stunned. Marcus, once a close friend, now emerged as an adversary, the transformations of their lives colliding. In a bittersweet turn. "Why are you doing this?" Marcus met his gaze, expression conflicted. "You don't understand, Enrique. They're offering protection for us to thrive. A way out, Thriving at the expense of a child? Enrique asked incredulously. That's not protection, it's a cage. The sirens grew louder, the men's expressions shifting from aggression to panic. In that pivotal moment, Enrique summoned everything he had, the failures, the heartache, the longing for redemption, and fought through the emotional turmoil. I won't let you drag her down with you. With a surge of finality, he pushed Marcus aside, forcing the others to retreat as the police arrived. Blue and red lights flooded the room, illuminating the confrontation with a surreal brightness. As the officers rushed in and apprehended the men, Enrique felt an overwhelming sense of relief flooding his senses. He had faced his fears, both from his past and in the present. Protector, father figure. He finally understood what he had to do. Are you okay, Sophia? He asked, turning toward her, bonded now by the fire of their shared experience. I'm okay, Enrique, she replied, her voice steadier, empowered by his bravery. In that moment of triumph, he realized it wasn't just the victory over the intruders that defined him, but the courage to embrace his purpose, the unwavering commitment to shield not just Sophia, but to reclaim his own heart from the ghosts of the past. The dust settled after the chaotic confrontation, and a profound silence replaced the echoes of fear. Enrique watched as the officers led the men away, their presence fading like shadows into the night. As the reality of their victory began to sink in, he turned to Sophia, who now stood rooted in the safety of the room, her little hands clutching the hem of her shirt in silent contemplation. Are you all right? He asked gently, kneeling down to meet her gaze, the weight of the world still lingering in the air between them. I'm okay, she replied, the tremor in her voice barely masking the relief flooding her eyes. Thank you for being brave. Tears pricked at Enrique's eyes, realizing how tenuous their bond had become through adversity. You gave me courage too, Sophia, he said, fighting back the swell of emotion. Now let's make sure we keep you safe. The days that followed were filled with transition. Sophia was settled into a local shelter where she received warmth, care, and the attention she so desperately needed. But each evening after his work, Enrique would make his way to the shelter, bringing small gifts of encouragement, a book, a handmade bracelet, or just his presence. One evening, as they sat together in the small garden behind the shelter, Sophia looked up at him, her voice inquisitive. Will you always visit me? I don't want to be alone anymore. Enrique's heart ached at the vulnerability in her question. I promise, Sophia, you have a family now, whether you know it or not. And family sticks together, he reassured her, warmth enveloping them like a cherished blanket. Inspired by her resilience, Enrique decided to take their path a step further. He returned to his home, and in the solitude of his garden, now overrun with wildflowers and untidy joy, he began to plant anew. With each shove of the spade into the earth, he envisioned hope sprouting alongside the vibrant blooms. As the sun settled into the horizon, casting a golden glow over the garden, Sophia joined him. What are we doing? She asked, her brow furrowed with curiosity. We're planting seeds, not just for flowers, but for a new beginning, Enrique explained, his heart swelling with determination. In the weeks that followed, they cultivated both the garden and their lives, planting together, flowers that danced with the wind and hopes that reached for the sky. They envisioned classrooms where dreams could bloom, dedicated to children, like Sophia. Every petal represented a promise, every shoot a dream waiting to flourish, and as the flowers began to blossom, so did their spirits, united by a bond forged in fire and shaped by love. In those moments, they found not just healing, but a shared strength that transcended their pasts, proving that even amidst the deepest sorrows, life can indeed flourish anew. As Sophia stood beside him, vibrant blooms painting the world around, Henrique realized that they were both embarking on a journey, not only of survival, but of renewal, reminding him that while life brings challenges, it also offers opportunities for rebirth. Don't miss our next videos. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications button. What did this story seem like to you? Leave your comment.